What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Clear the Cash. I'm your host, Nate Liss. You can find me on Twitter at @AnOutragedJew. And of course, with me once again is Jesse Bak. You can find him on Twitter at Planet_Fatness. Jesse, I don't know if you can tell the level of energy that I am bringing to the table tonight. It's very real. It's palpable. I can feel it. The listeners can feel it. I just got back from parent-teacher night, and it was so sweet. My daughter, current fifth grader, just went into the fifth grade. 10 years old, Jesse. Time flies, okay? 10 years old. It's pissing rain outside as we arrive to this thing. I live in the Pacific Northwest. All it does is rains here, of course. And we're getting to the door, long line, get soaked, get to the front door, and there's a lady there. And the lady's like, what's your name? And I'm like, well, I'm Nate. This is my daughter. This is my wife. Of course, I said their real names. And then she's like, okay, so you're going to go here, 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 and here. Just go ahead because of COVID. Please social distance. So we're like, oh, yeah, okay. Open the double doors, Jesse. One step in the fucking door, boom, traffic jam. There is hundreds of people, and we're like bumping shoulders. People are very apologetic. People's masks are popping off left and right. It is chaos ensues. I don't think that they've planned ahead for this because they had K through every grade imaginable crammed into one hallway, Jesse, and it was amazing. I mean, this was a sight to behold.
Doesn't sound like proper social distancing, and this is a healthcare worker speaking, and that's a little slightly concerning.
Well, I can hold my breath for a long time, so it was okay. I just was like, okay. I've been watching these Navy SEAL breathing videos on YouTube, and I'm just like, that's what I'll do. I'll just hold my breath for like 35 minutes, and then when we leave, I'll just get some fresh air when I get outside. So that's what I did, but It was literally like a theme park in this place. Nobody knew where they were going. There was no coordination. The ladies that were at the school, and they had earpieces in, and they were flagging people down, and nobody knew where they were going. It was great. It was like if you pulled all the stop signs out of a four-way stop. That's what the fuck was going on at this school. It was absolute catastrophe. Took place, but we made it. We met the teacher. She was very enthusiastic. My goodness, very, very enthusiastic, which you love to see. Hopefully, Jesse. Did you bring the energy tonight? Is your energy at the level that mine feels like it might be right now?
Maybe it's not as enthusiastic as your daughter's fifth grade teacher, but it's there. We bring it every show.
Sure. Cool. Yeah, I feel like I had like 3 cans of Coke and 2 coffees, and I didn't though. It's just back to school, baby. All right, Jesse, I didn't see it. You did, and you informed me of this because for whatever you've got a sixth sense for this. You know, spider senses, whatever the extra third eye, 11th toe, you've got all these different things that are working in your favor, and you always know what's going on in the industry. So you text me today and you go, did you see this HBO series? And I'm like, what HBO, Entourage? What HBO series are we referring to? And you're like, no, not Entourage, though it's a great show. Thank you for agreeing with me. You said that there was something that took place on HBO that you actually feel like a lot of card enthusiasts should probably check out. Is that true?
Definitely. I am not sure the actual air date. All I know is that it aired this past week, and by the time that this podcast is launched, it aired a week ago. I think it's I don't even know how often HBO Real Sports airs, like once a month or something, or I don't know if it's weekly or bi-weekly. I have no idea. So this was the August 2021 episode, if it is monthly. It was the very last segment of the broadcast was geared towards sports cards. Surprisingly enough, that topic comes up on our show. So it was focused on one collector by the name of Adam Rips. If you guys haven't checked out his Instagram, you will see by far the most impressive collection gathered together by an 18-year-old, probably ever. I think I can't remember his Instagram handle. I think it's at Rips Cards, something like that. RIPPS Cards. Yeah, it's at Rips Cards. He is a Giannis super fan and a Giannis super collector. Um, he basically went on to tell his story. Like they started the segment by interviewing him, and it's an 18-year-old whose net worth is like over $3 million. That's pretty damn impressive. Like they in the interview he talked about like how he's worth more than his parents are
Wait,
and
wait,
whatever.
wait. What's his net worth?
Over $3 million.
What does this kid do?
And he's 18 years old. He transacts regularly in sports cards.
Jesse, so you're telling me that there's people out there that can make that much money trading cards?
Well, potentially, but he's been doing this for quite a bit. At least seriously for the last 5 years, I want to say. Um, what happened was, I think even before he was 13, he started taking this somewhat seriously, and around the time of his, I don't know, 13th, 14th, 15th birthday, something like that, he requested permission from his parents to be able to take out his bar mitzvah money.
Oh, he's part of the tribe.
He's one with the tribe. Yes.
Of course he is. How much does this kid have for bar mitzvah money?
$5,000.
Okay, all right, that's fair.
So this it's a pretty good bar mitzvah. So he got permission from his parents to take out $5,000 of his bar mitzvah money to invest into Giannis cards. And I don't think he's from Milwaukee either. I don't know if he's a Bucks fan. I think he's from New York, if anything. But anyway, this whole he basically stated that this investment that he made when he was like a teenager was by far the best investment he's ever made in his life, that really almost any of us could have made, because it turned his collection to what it is today. And he has by far the best Giannis collection you'll find out there. So the segment started off with interviewing him, and then it kind of diverged into looking at different parts of the market and basically how much cards are worth today compared to maybe what they were worth a couple of years ago. They apparently I had no idea. HBO had cameras in Chicago at the National. I don't know. I saw so many damn cameras that I really didn't know like who they belonged to, like if it was the local news, if it was whoever, just YouTubers. So they went to the National. They were talking with dealers there, very, very big dealers and prominent people there. They were talking to big time collectors from California, like Southern California, Beverly Hills, about their multi-million-dollar collections. And the reporter that that was in charge of this whole segment, he would look at these people like almost like they were crazy for not thinking about selling something that may be multiplied in value. And when we're talking about like tens of thousands to even like millions of dollars, and these people still aren't considering selling, this reporter is looking at them almost like they're crazy. So every time, like I can't remember this reporter's name, but every time he had a question about a card, his first question would be, okay, how much is this worth? Like this is the first question. And it might be something that hasn't sold in so damn long that like even the person that owns it is saying like, oh yeah, my valuation would probably be X. So it's just it's kind of like a gray area, but he just wants to get to, like the bottom dollar of every card valuation. And that like money was always the bottom line with the reporter. And it's definitely a segment for everyone to watch for sure. Just because it provides an interesting perspective from somebody who's a complete outsider in this. And he essentially compared it, like him and Brian Gumbel at the very end, they compared this market to like the stock market, and how something that can have such insane such an insane run up in such a short amount of time, like if it goes up it can come down. And I think even in the middle of the segment, one of the Beverly Hills collector, who had like a 40 or $50 million collection of 24, 25 cards, he said, yeah, he's like, this shit isn't a joke. Like I've run the numbers of the S&P 500 over the last 20 years, and I compared it to the valuation of my cards and maybe a decent amount of the market in general, and it's outperformed the S&P 500 over the last 20 years. So if that tells you anything. So yeah, they were more comparing it to the stock market, but I think they interviewed some great collectors too, some very passionate collectors, and people who definitely have very good, a lot of skin in the game, and they know what they're talking about. And they kept trying to tell the reporter, listen, like maybe you shouldn't be comparing this to. I think the stock market might be an inappropriate comparison. I mean, it is a market, but you might want to compare it more to the art market, just because that's what people are seeing this as right now. And that's how they're going to see cards that they've wanted. There's going to be people who are, in their 20s right now, and they still can't afford these cards that are tens of thousands to hundreds of thousands of dollars. And they're going to make it like their life goal in the hobby to try to get these cards, even like 30, 40 years from now. Like that's going to be something that people are going to be striving for. So I had a couple of critiques on the segment of them just kind of comparing it to the stock market. And even Brian Gumbel himself, his final question of the whole segment was, all right, sports card market bubble that's about to burst. And like, it was just it was almost like they almost made it a little clickbaity, in my opinion. So, but it's definitely something for everyone who's interested in the hobby, and who has HBO access in any form should definitely take 20 minutes out of their day to watch. If you guys have the chance.
Just what you've told me about it and what I expect them to do, it seems like they may have gone a bit clickbaity, but assuming all these people that they talked to on there were given the opportunity to kind of spill their entire feeling about the market and their belief in it, then it would be pretty cool to see sort of an open and honest, opportunity for these people to kind of tell their side of the story and what it's like collecting at the highest level for many of these people. But I'm not surprised that they're saying, is a bubble going to burst? What's the bubble on the art market, right? I mean, that's exactly why it makes more sense, because it's sort of in the eyes of the beholder. We're going to talk about a card at the end of this episode that if it sells, Jesse, I'm done. I'm going to quit. We're shutting the show down. Like, the website, I'm going to crash it. I don't know how you crash a website, but I'm going to figure it out. We're going to take it down. It's going to be toast. But yeah, I'm not surprised that they tried to clickbait it, because it's sensationalizing has become a big part of everything nowadays. But it's cool that some of these guys had an opportunity to speak. And you said, or maybe I read it wrong, have you met this kid that had the Giannis cards?
Yes, I met him. I met Adam Rips at the National. He was sitting with the Card Talk Pod guys at one of the tables that was closer to the main entrance. Not sure how. Yeah, probably shouldn't have mentioned those guys, but yeah, he was a very nice, humble kid. He didn't act like at all like dude, I'm a millionaire. Like, fuck you want from me. No, he was very pleasant. We just talked for a couple minutes just about the Bucks, his Giannis collection, and I'm just like, dude, like you must have been like the happiest motherfucker in the world as soon as they won, just so you can get it, like, kind of, like Steve Young, get that monkey off your back. Even though his collection was already like an incredible, that was an insane investment on his part, and the collection is just beautiful. So yeah, no, he's a really nice kid. I'm sure he'll be at future shows if you guys want to stop by and say hi. And for sure, follow this kid on Instagram. He, like, just some of the stuff, like, his philosophies are very smart. He has like very good takes on game used memorabilia and maybe how that might be a market that's like certainly underappreciated. That's a whole other rabbit hole. But I totally agree with him on his take on that. But if you guys go to any nationals in the future or big regional shows, there's a decent chance that you're going to find him there dealing there. So yeah, for sure, check him out on Instagram and see if you could find him at a show one of these days.
Now, Giannis is obviously an ultra collectible player. We know his ceiling. We haven't even substantiated it yet. It's getting scary how high it could actually be. But quarterbacks are king, and Giannis is not a quarterback. Maybe he could be. I don't know if he can throw a ball,
he isn't.
But he's not a quarterback. Jesse, you and I started talking here over text message recently, and we were kind of talking about some of the most aged, decorated quarterbacks still currently playing, some of the most decorated quarterbacks that have recently retired within the past couple of seasons, maybe even just this year. And I kind of wanted to talk with you about the dichotomy between a few of these names, how you and I perceive them comparative to maybe some of the already retired Hall of Famers or close to Hall of Fame level players, and then talk about some of the options that exist and kind of what you've seen or the pulse value on some of these cards. Because what we've talked about to ad nauseum at times is that you're trying to find these moments, these little pockets where, just like if you're collecting Kyler, you're waiting for those blow-up games. If you have these retired players, you could be waiting for, like the Tiger Woods, documentary that gets played on TV. You're waiting for a Hall of Fame induction. You're waiting for these things. So if you could find these moments, there can be this burst in value, and sometimes you have to hold for a little bit. And that might be the case with guys like Drew Brees and Aaron Rodgers. Would you say that's true?
It's honestly stupid to me how I'm not gonna, all right, like take it easy. I'm not gonna say they're just undervalued and buy everything and anything of them. But when looking at their prices in comparison to all-time great quarterbacks who are kind of getting their due, like Brady is more than enough getting his due. Not again, I'm not saying that they're Brady, but I'm just saying that if we're seeing all-time great quarterbacks that might have played when we were all cognizant enough to understand and appreciate the game, much like Tom Brady and Peyton Manning. When you're comparing those guys' prices to somebody like Drew Brees and Aaron Rodgers, it kind of makes me scratch my head a little bit, just from a valuation perspective. I honestly, we can't really compare anybody to Brady right now, just because Michael Brady, Jesus Christ, Tom Brady is going on a Michael Jordan trajectory right now. Okay, so that's like his prices hit, like, just even for some of his rookie cards, especially the low pop ones, like the Bowman Chrome refractors and high grades. Those are already like almost $1 million cards. It's insane how valuable they are. So we can't really compare either of them to Tom Brady, both from a card perspective and just like, their career accolades. But if we can kind of maybe compare them or see them on like maybe on the same level as somebody like a Peyton Manning, I think that's a fair comparison. Peyton Manning, the interesting thing about Peyton Manning is Peyton Manning has a very devout collector base, because obviously he was a Colt for a majority of his career, and Colts collectors, or they, like, a lot of them only collect Colts players, and all of them collect Peyton Manning. So he has the fan base, and then on top of that, people like I've been told by so many people, very wise people in the hobby, that Peyton Manning probably would have been just about what Tom Brady would have been if Tom Brady never played in the league, or if Tom Brady never became what he became. And I think that's a valid point. Even speaking of the National, when I was at the National, there were so many people looking for Peyton Manning cards. It's not even funny. Like we hear snippets of like, oh, what was the hot thing at the Dallas show? Oh, what was the hot thing at the Wisconsin show, at the Miami show, whatever. I could say in terms of football was for sure the hottest thing, the hottest sport at the National in Chicago. And I would say I probably heard Peyton Manning's name maybe as much as Tom Brady's and Mahomes. So that kind of shows you something about maybe Manning and how much his prices could even grow in the future, which they certainly can. But in terms of maybe how we'll see Drew Brees and Aaron Rodgers' career when all is said and done, we'll probably see them closer to somebody like a Peyton Manning. And what we're seeing price-wise doesn't really line up that way, in my opinion.
I mean, Manning, for many people, is the second greatest quarterback of all time. As you and I have talked about, I could, or just about anybody else could, make the case that Drew Brees is the second best quarterback of all time by the numbers and what he did. Again, this is a guy with one Super Bowl title. Again, same as Rodgers, one Super Bowl title. Who knows if Green Bay's been close in the past. Who knows if Rodgers doesn't get one more before he goes out? Might be unlikely, but let's assume they both end with one. Drew Brees was absolutely stellar throughout his career. And again, this is a guy that of all the names that we've talked about, from Rodgers to Manning to Brees, he has blown them out of the water in terms of pass attempts. Even if we talk about a guy like Ben Roethlisberger momentarily, I mean, blows him out of the water in terms of pass attempts. Again, 20 years in the league, going from San Diego, playing for a majority of his career in New Orleans. But you look at what he did over the last couple years of his career, I realized that the volume of pass attempts went down, but we saw a more refined, talented version of Drew Brees. I mean, honest to God, like if we could reverse time a little bit and keep where he was in his career at the end there and kind of roll it back, he probably would have even more incredible numbers. And Brees has been screwed in the playoffs too, right? I mean, just like Manning ran into some New England teams that screwed him in his route to winning, or going to Super Bowls or, getting opportunity. We saw the same thing with Brees along those same lines. And I would agree that when I look at Brees, when I look at Rodgers, they seem a lot more comparative to Peyton Manning. And you can look at the tool on Pro Football Reference, how they evaluate players and put them into sort of a points-based metric. And Peyton Manning and Tom Brady are basically neck and neck, essentially, in Hall of Fame potential. And then number 3 there is Brett Favre, and then Aaron Rodgers, and so on. And so that's just how they valued them out on there. But interesting to see Drew Brees 6 or 7 on that list. But if we think about his future trajectory, if Tom Brady is sort of the Michael Jordan of the sport, that means that there's a big teardrop or price break to the next most valuable player. And if we believe that's going to be Peyton Manning for all of his production on the field and what he will be since his career ended, right? We've already seen him everywhere, and I expect him to do even greater things. What are the odds that Brees can reach Manning value?
I think it's more within the range of outcomes than people realize right now. And I'm really seeing that with some of the prices of even his rare cards. I'm not even talking about rookie cards anymore. I'm talking about cards that collectors of his truly would desire. In my eyes, so full transparency, I have 0 Rodgers and I have 0 Brees cards. So this is literally me just giving my take here. There has been one Drew Brees card in particular. It was I'm sure listeners will look this up as soon as they listen to this episode. It's actually one of my favorite years of Topps Finest. It's the 2007 Topps Finest Gold Refractor Drew Brees BGS 9.5. It's been on my it's a True Gem Plus, by the way, so I think it has 10. One of the grades is a 10, and the rest are 9.5s. So that brings the card closer to like a PSA 10 evaluation than maybe a Min Gem 9.5 or a PSA 9. So that card has been on eBay for months, listed as or best offer. So that card has been, and the price has never changed. It's never, regardless of how Brees Market has been doing, it's always stayed the same. So the seller has it listed for $550 or best offer. I haven't looked up the pop. Honestly, the pop might even be in the listing description. I have no idea. It's a low pop card. There's only 50 gold refractors out there, of Brees. And just to compare it, I don't want to compare it, V to V to Tom Brady, but just for argument's sake of maybe Brees being a little cheap. The same year, same card for Tom Brady, 2007 gold Topps Finest, gold refractor Tom Brady, PSA 10. Okay, grade's different. That was listed through PWCC when PWCC was on eBay for $6,900 or best offer. So we're talking like 12 times the price of the Brees. I'm not saying it's sold for that price, but we're just to even start a conversation of where the seller is at and where he can meet the buyer. I don't know. I think personally, I understand Brady obviously carries a GOAT premium. But if anything, that probably if I was a Brees collector, I would be all over this card. I'm sure there are several Saints fans that are listening to the show that are going to at least take a look at this card. It's a beautiful card, honestly. Like I said, I love 2007 Finest. '06 and '07 Finest are some of the best years of gold refractors in Topps history, in my opinion. Um, but just seeing something like that and seeing how reasonably priced Drew Brees is, kind of makes me excited if I were to be looking at Drew Brees cards. From either collecting or investing. This is not something that you're going to make money in 3 months necessarily, unless if you're just looking to like make 10 or 20% of your investment or something. But it's something that I think for sure down the line will be far more sought after than it is right now.
Well, I know a couple things. One, that card's gone. Congratulations to the owner of that card. It is officially sold. Jesse's got the Midas touch. He just kissed it on the forehead, turned into a golden baby or whatever happens. I don't know what Midas did. Doesn't matter. Jesse, so that card's probably gone. And I like the take, and it makes a lot of sense to me. Obviously Tom Brady is just on another level in terms of values. A player that we haven't necessarily mentioned yet would be Ben Roethlisberger. Ben Roethlisberger is a guy that has to be at the end of his career. If it's not this year, it's next year. If it's not next year, we're shutting down the fucking website. I'm getting rid of the podcast. I'm going to crash the website. I don't know how to crash a website. I'll learn how to crash it. I'll crash the website.
It's a lot of obsession about crashing.
We're going to crash that website. I'm going to crash it. Like Big Ben went ass over tea kettle and crashed his motorcycle. So Ben Roethlisberger, wear helmet. Would you say that it's a fair comparison to put him closer to the Brett Favre tier rather than the Peyton Manning tier?
Absolutely. From so many levels. I think from like his style of play just mirrors Brett Favre so much. He has one more Super Bowl ring than Favre does, but in terms of maybe how exciting he was as a player, I don't think necessarily he was seen as. He never had a season, even in fantasy, where people saw this guy as like the guy. This is the quarterback you want in a league. Whereas in all honesty, Aaron Rodgers had those years, and Drew Brees probably had those years. Maybe 10 years ago, around 10 years ago or so. And in terms of the collectorship right now, I'm sure there are Big Ben collectors. There's probably not too many right now, so I'm sure Steelers fans and Steelers collectors are probably happy with that and being able to find his cards for a decent value, and even his rare rookie cards or rare cards down the line. But there's super rare '90s parallels and inserts when Favre was well into his prime that are thousands of dollars right now. And I think Brett Favre is a fair comparison to Big Ben. And honestly, the Steelers fan base is very devout. They're a very devoted fan base, and kind of reminds me of the Colts fan base in certain ways. So in terms of a collectorship in the future, when Big Ben is undoubtedly a Hall of Famer at some point. So I think if you'd be looking at some of his more rare cards and some collectible cards, those can certainly go up in value. No idea how much. I'm not saying he's even going to reach Brett Favre prices, but if you're at least a collector for the time being, go crazy investing in collecting Big Ben.
Two things I'd like to say. One, you've missed numerous opportunities to refer to Peyton Manning's following as a cult following. Number one, very missed opportunity. Really need to work on that. Number two, what's going to blow you away is that Big Ben, what active quarterback in the league do you think that the Pro Sports Reference Hall of Fame metric has Ben Roethlisberger neck and neck with?
Current
quarterback. They're separated by 1.5 points, and he's actually lower than this player. Current quarterback.
So this is a quarterback that has had to have been playing in the league for some time. I'm guessing.
Quite some time.
Okay.
He may have just lost his alpha. Maybe an alpha that you PC.
Matt Ryan.
Now, I know Steelers fans are probably swerving on the road right now, but that's how people drive in Pittsburgh anyways. And so it might be shocking to hear that, right? But this metric is fairly accurate with the way that it's predicted things over time. And it will be interesting to see the way this plays out, because I think a lot of people think that Ben Roethlisberger is a surefire Hall of Famer. And a lot of people might tell you that they don't think that Matt Ryan is. Interestingly enough, but Matt Ryan has also been ultra productive over the course of his career as well, in a different way than Ben Roethlisberger. But I don't think Matt Ryan's name ever comes up. I think we might have talked about him on a show, and at one point you and I were going back and forth on rookie cards. But in your eyes, is Matt Ryan collectible? I mean, outside of an Atlanta fan?
You'd be okay. All right. With that,
you almost dovetailed that one right
got me there. I've seen Matt Ryan cards listed at card shows, even card shows close to me in Philadelphia, for pretty decent prices. So he definitely has a collector base. They're probably majority Falcons fans, but Falcons fans, they travel too. I've met Falcons fans from Wisconsin and the New England. Falcons fans they have a bit of a cult following themselves. So they not really, but I think I mean, I've seen gold Topps Chrome 2008 Topps Chrome Matt Ryan rookie cards graded go for a decent amount of money at shows. Maybe it's just the same dealer that I'm running to. I don't know. I don't really look at the dealers. I look at the cards, but yeah, I've seen his stuff listed for a decent amount, and I've seen auctions of his like rather rare cards, like even gold kabooms, go for a decent amount of money. So people look at Matt Ryan too, even after the whole Julio Jones news and the whole Julio move. People still look at Matt Ryan. So there's probably something more to that than either of us had thought originally.
So he might be a sneaky name on the list, and I want to ask you a question because I was looking at the statistics. I was looking through some of these players that we named, and we were talking about Peyton Manning earlier, and I had a question for you. Peyton Manning has played 17 NFL seasons. Jesse, my question for you as we talk about production on the field, how many, and fans at home, feel free to guess out loud, how many of his 17 seasons ended with double-digit interceptions? 17 years in the league, how many of those did he throw 10 or more interceptions?
I'm going to say 9.
9 of 17, so you're essentially saying close to half. Okay.
Yes.
Now, before I answer this, I'd like to go to Aaron Rodgers. Over the course of Aaron Rodgers' career, when you look at how many times he threw over 10 interceptions, Aaron Rodgers, 2 times in his career, more than 10 interceptions. 2 times, okay? Let's go back to Peyton Manning. 1 time in Peyton Manning's career did he throw less than 10 interceptions. 16 of 17 years in the league, 10 or more interceptions. That's a fact.
Holy
that's a fact.
Shit. Wow. You were?
Yeah.
Wow.
Think about that for a second. I mean, again, Aaron Rodgers, twice in his career, throws 10 or more interceptions. Every other season, essentially 8 or less every year outside of that. Just an interesting statistic when we think about Peyton Manning. It's, what does it really come down to? And he was so ultra productive. I mean, he had some of these, the way that I view some of these all-time home run hitters, the home run race, when I think about Manning's 49 touchdown season, when I think about his 55 touchdown season, he had some of the most monster fantasy production years that you can imagine, elevated players around him everywhere. And I understand, and I do believe that he's the second best quarterback of all time. That's my belief. I think, again, people can debate it. There's some quarterbacks we haven't named yet that people would probably be up in arms about right now that we hadn't named. But to be fair, I think the total understanding of what we're saying, if I'm getting it right, is that Brees and Rodgers are equal to Manning, and Big Ben is equal to Brett Favre. So does that put Matt Ryan next to Phillip Rivers? Are they side by side?
That's a pretty good comparison. I was just thinking, we never mentioned Phillip Rivers' name in this, and it was just kind of That's pretty apropos. I don't know. Like you kind of think of Philip Rivers as in terms of his success in the regular season and maybe not as much in the postseason. And you can honestly say the same for Matt Ryan outside of the one Super Bowl year. So just kind of, I don't know. It's one of those quarterbacks that's always the bridesmaid, never the bride. Kind of situation there. So honestly, those two mirror each other very
It's
well.
truly unfortunate, Jesse. What's not unfortunate, though, is Underdog Fantasy. They are the sponsor of this show. Obviously, we have to talk about them when we get a chance. Listen, download the Underdog app, guys. Today, use the promo code Underworld. You'll get a $25 bonus cash for new players who deposit. It's all the rave. Everybody's talking about it. Everybody's using it. Why aren't you? Jesse, we had a question from the patrons. Before I get to this fucking card that somebody listed on eBay, I want to take it down. Now I want to crash eBay. I don't know how to do that, but I'm going to crash something. So this is from, again, now, is it Seb Cortez? Okay.
Yes, you got it.
We got that right. Now this is I'm going to read this to you. I'm going to get your stone cold opinion on this. Goes, "Hey guys!" Exclamation point. That's how I imagine he said it. "We sometimes hear you talk about the look of 90s insert cards, how they look cool, and how some are still valuable. In your opinion, in recent years, 2010 plus, what insert set has the best chance to hold or gain value in the future? Other than Kaboom and Downtown that are two obvious ones to me, 2013 Select Hot Rookies, 2020 Select Certified, any others? Thanks for the help. Good work."
That is an excellent question. Because my go-to would have been Kaboom, and people have been shitting on Kaboom recently because I'm certain there are people out there that think it's getting hyped up, and maybe to an extent, maybe it is. But I still love it. I don't care even if it's getting hyped. That's an excellent question. Outside of Kaboom and Downtown, I like Downtown. It's not my favorite insert, but definitely Kaboom for sure takes the cake. I'm trying to think of other inserts that we've seen maybe in the last 5 years or so. That's a good question. I do like. I don't think it's Select Hot Rookies, although I love that set. It's a great looking insert set that I think Panini only made for 1 year in Select Football. And honestly, like the red, the white, and the gold prisms of that set are just beautiful. I've seen a couple of black prism 1-of-1s too, and that's just like an insane card. So maybe in terms of like my favorite cards of all time, that might be, or my favorite inserts of all time, that might be up there. But in terms of something that's going to hold value, I have no idea. I mean, we can all just kind of guess from here. But I what's funny is I've joked with a couple of people who I talk closely with. We're on a daily basis, like Ethan, for example. And I told him, like, dude, like there have been people that collected in the 90s who they had grails back then, or in the 2000s, or early 2010s, and maybe those cards from the 90s weren't as desired as they are right now, and now they cost tens of thousands of dollars, and they didn't even know. Like it's just kind of, I don't know, it's just kind of something that generates somewhat organically over a long period of time, and I can't name any off the top of my head that I can say with like 100% certainty that they're gonna stay valuable. But honestly, with Panini right now, it's tough to beat Kaboom. Like they've just had this insane run up. I don't know how the prices are going to look like in the future, but if Fanatics doesn't acquire Panini's printing press, or if they don't acquire Panini in any form or fashion, so that means maybe there's no more Kabooms anymore. I think Kabooms in the future are going to be pretty sought after. But yeah, that was a very long non-answer, but that was an excellent question, and I'll have to think on it and probably privately message a Seb in the future, or maybe mention it on a future show.
You've got a career in politics, sir. You are. That was a dipsy doodle if I've ever seen one. Impressive, Jesse. Impressive. Here's what's not impressive. I've really been I just needed to get everything off the show sheet so I could get to this. This is when you've got too much shit on your desk and you got to clear it off because you got to put a big pizza on there, right? You're going to eat a pizza. You need space to eat a big pizza. So, Jesse, I don't even know how I ended up here, to be quite honest with you. I'm not sure what amount of Googling or searching on eBay leads a man to this card, but I was led here. If like when you lead a horse to water, what you lead a gorilla to water, a gorilla to a banana? Is that what it is? Is that how you catch them?
Sure, we can go with that. Yeah,
I'm in a long-winded way. I'm trying to say I have stumbled on a 2016 Leaf Live Harambe, the gorilla card, PSA 10, and clearly it says Pop 1 in the title. Lots of exclamation points. Best part. Two best parts. One, in the title it says open to reasonable offers. Second most important factor, this son of a bitch has it listed for $20,000, Jesse.
Sounds like a reasonable price.
So I want to make him an offer for $1 and see where we go. How does this happen? Is there any chance that this card ever has any value? I mean, who does this card have value to?
I think he was kind of blowing smoke when he said Pop 1, just because I literally found another one just searching this just now. So not sure about that Pop 1 status. Although, funny enough, it has 28 watchers. Dude, honestly, if you're listing that card for $20,000, like, why don't you just list it for, I don't know, at that point, just list it for $69,420 and say you're open to reasonable, serious offers.
It's not like it's an on-card auto, for God's sakes. I mean, come on, right? Am I right?
I think if it was an on-card auto, that Leaf employee would be dead.
Give Harambe a fucking pen. Yeah, I mean, RIP, of course. But it's this card, when I see these cards, Jesse, number one, I'm like, okay, that's cool. I mean, I don't have a problem. They make cards about everything. Telescopes in the sky have cards, right? I mean, we know this. They exist. It's the fact that anybody would list this card for $20,000. I mean, it always cracks me up. It's such fishing, but I'm assuming that nobody's ever going to pay this number.
No, I'm wondering, like, honest to God, I'm wondering if this guy takes $500 as a serious offer.
You going to do it?
Hell no.
Okay, listen, if any one of the listeners of this show can get this guy to sell you this card for over $500, we will give you a feature on the episode. We'll bring you on for 5 or 10 minutes to talk about your purchase. The card is 2016 Harambe Leaf Live trading card, PSA 10, Pop 1. You can't miss it. It's listed for $20,000. It's $19,999, too expensive, overpriced. We know that already, Jesse. So that's my statement to the listening audience. If anybody can achieve purchase of this card, doesn't even have to be for $500. I'm just curious. If you can secure the bag on this card and live to tell about it, we will bring you on the show to tell us about your journey, because I am interested to see how you can pry this away from the Harambe owner who's asking $20,000 currently, Jesse.
Maybe it was the zookeeper.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, honestly. Is it? No, it's the guys from Texas. Probably not. You never know. But
yeah.
Might be the zookeeper.
Nobody knows. It probably is held by a zookeeper. That's a great guess. I don't know why I didn't think about that. It's so smart. You're so smart to think about these things. I don't know how you do it, Jesse. Well, somehow, Jesse, we put together a show. You and I thought when we came into this, we're like, we don't know. How are we going to pull this off? You know, it's like, I got to make dinner. We went in the cupboard. We just started finding things. We threw them in a bowl, mixed it up, and boom. Dinner.
Shit's pretty good.
It tastes pretty good. Captain Crunch, barbecue sauce. Let's do it. We got to put together, Jesse. Well, awesome, man. I appreciate you coming on tonight. I know next week we've got some exciting stuff. We're trying to reel in a guest. We've got some really, really awesome guests kind of on the horizon. If we can get them locked into a date, we'll be able to bring some really, really, really cool features to you guys, including the guy who purchases the Harambe card. Please, God, buy it. Somebody buy this card. Also, guys, if you are interested, go to clearthecash.com, drop your name, first and last email address, and we will put you guys into the email list with the updates of what's taking place on the website. We will not spam you. I can promise you that much. And when we do email you, it'll be updates. We'll have a little bit of actionable content in the email. And a lot more is coming in the future. So again, guys, thank you for showing up. It's parent-teacher night. Very excited. We kept the energy very, very high tonight. So we will see you guys next week on Clear the Cache.